everybody, and welcome back to episode 52 of America Rising. We are here with Terry Newsome and my daughter, the host, obviously. And he's got a long, list of accomplishments. He was on a terrorism watch list. You were at January 6th doing political activism. You're standing up for the kids, had faced down with like some of the Antifa and a lot of the gangs and all that kind of stuff over there. Got helped out by Matt Gaetz to get off the list and worked with with Tom Homan and others to try to make your community better. So you want to kind of introduce yourself to our audience so we can hear a little bit more.
Sure. Yeah. I liked your introduction. Actually, it's pretty cool. It's different and cool in a good way. Thank you, Terry Newsome. I'm a 63-year-old grandpa, father of twins that just graduated high school. I got remarried. I have a 32-year-old daughter from my first marriage, and I was raised southwest side of Chicago. My mom's side of the family is all Italian. That's where I was kind of raised with the Italian side of the family, and the southwest side, all Democrats, unions. My dad worked for the city. I was in 2 unions, all my friends. That's how I was raised when I was younger. I was never politically active at all until I became a registered Republican in 2013, but I didn't do anything. I voted, but it wasn't until 4 years ago my children were starting freshman year, and we had the aggressive forced masking and the distancing and all the crap they forced upon our children. So I went to my first school board meeting in August before the kids started school to voice our concerns about the masking. And then one of the mothers showed me the book Genderqueer. You guys familiar with the book Genderqueer?
I've heard of it.
Yeah, I got a poster. I'll get it to show. This I brought to school. It's like, it's crazy. So that's kind of launched me into the national media about my posters I brought to the school. When they showed me the book Genderqueer and all this crazy oral sex stuff that's in the book, I'm like, you're kidding me. This is not my kid's school. Matter of fact, I asked my son, Anthony, I said, would you go see if this is in the library? Because I really didn't believe her. And so he went and he took it out. He took a picture with his phone. I'm like, oh my God, it's in the school. And so I started aggressively calling them out for that. I made the posters, and all the parents were scared to hold my posters up to show these bad images. They were scared because the left over here is so aggressive, confrontational. They go after your job. They dox you. They call you names. They, shame, all this crazy stuff that we see them doing. And so I have friends that were Proud Boys that would come and hold the posters for me because nobody would hold them. And I said, hey guys, come as fathers. They're fathers, right? Just hold the posters. Don't dress in your colors and your okay crap, your okay signs and all this stuff, right? I don't want to distract why I need you here to show. I wanted the other parents, and they film it to show people what's in the books because they didn't know. So they show up, and we also had multiple law enforcement agencies, riot gear, and FBI was there for a school board meeting. And one of the moms was Antifa that was there. And then I started seeing my pictures showing up all on the Antifa sites, standing as I was presenting to the school board. Then they started threatening me. And it just kind of got me more visibility. And I actually got more angry. I got upset that, I was a Democrat, but the Democrats in this day and age aren't like what I grew up with, my aunts and uncles, my whole family. I believe that there's 2 types of Democrats now: those that are purposely trying to ruin the country and our children and brainwash them and indoctrinate them and sexualize them for their own means. Or there's ones like my 86-year-old mother's friends and stuff that are still Democrats because they're unaware, they don't know better, whatever. But the outcome from those purposely destroying America or too stupid or whatever reason is the same. We're destroying America. We're destroying our country. And so I first got involved because of my kids and seeing this stuff. And it's like, wow, this is really crazy. I never believed in a deep state. I thought there was some deep state. I thought people that were preppers were whack jobs. And I did a 180 over Trump. I mean, you guys, right? It's like, oh my God, this stuff's true. It really is, right? All this crazy stuff. And then I peacefully attended January 6th with a friend of mine that was just retired as a Cook County sheriff. Matter of fact, he wanted to go. He drove us down there. January 5th, I was at University of Chicago Hospital. I was on an IV for immunotherapy for stage 3 melanoma. I shouldn't have left the house. My wife was upset. I shouldn't have went anywhere. I was exhausted. And we went down there for 2 reasons. We went there to see Trump, and then we went there to protect people. If you remember, in December and November, people were beat up. Some guys were stabbed. Do you remember that before January 6th? I don't know if you followed that much. Did you guys remember that?
I heard about there's a lot of stuff going down.
Yeah. Yes. So we wanted to protect the even though I'm old, Rob was a SWAT team guy. I still, even at the king, I used to be really big, so I still think I'm big. I was just old. My brain still on the south side. So we just wanted to protect the families and people, right? There was no planned insurrection, right? There was no mention of it at all, nothing. And think about it. Antifa was everywhere in December and November. Why was it they were nowhere to be found on January 6th? Because they were embedded. I got videos of it. I was behind Ray Epps. I got all kinds of crazy. We could do a whole segment just on the video clips I have.
Yeah,
and they were everywhere. They were everywhere. So we kind of followed. I had a flagpole in my phone. I was kind of in shock. We're in the midst of it. It's like, oh my God. And there was so much energy, excitement, disappointment, frustration, letdown. Then you had these agitators yelling, "Get up there!" They were plants everywhere. They were plants everywhere. And so all that stuff comes together. And thank God I was exhausted, because I would like be me and my friend who was a cop. I was like the crazy we were buddies in high school. He was always laid back. I would have went inside the Capitol if I wasn't exhausted. We were by the last line in the west end of the building where the police were fighting with they were going back and forth. And that's when I told Rob, I go, I got to go, man. Matter of fact, I had to lay on the grass on the way back to the hotel. We didn't even know that people got in the hotel or got into the Capitol till we got to the hotel. Right. And so then the same Antifa guys that were coming after me for the school wrote a hit piece in the Southern Poverty Law Center that I tried to overthrow the government. I'm anti-gay. I hate black people. I hate everybody. They just came. It's like, oh my God. I was devastated. I'm like, holy cow, look at this. And then like some of the politicians and guys I know, oh, that's a badge of honor. I'm like, I don't know if it's a badge of honor. Oh yeah, the SPLC, that means you made it. And I'm like, it's all the crazy stuff these guys said about me. So that was the first story that they did on me.
Yeah.
And then and then you remember when Donald Trump was all the states were trying to keep him off the ballot to keep him from being elected?
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So guess who was the only one in the United States that tried to keep Biden off the ballot? You don't see it too much. Yeah, it was funny. I was there debating Biden's attorney, and we were in front of the election board. And if you remember, we were hoping the Supreme Court would do the right thing, which they did. But I'm saying, how come nobody else is going and fighting and giving them some of their same medicine? While we hope the Supreme Court does the right thing and says you can't do it. So me and a couple other friends did, put it together. And I'm a sales guy, so I was more of the mouthpiece when we went in front of the election board. And I'm sitting next to Biden's attorney. It was so weird. And right before us, we had there was 6 people representing Illinois fighting against Donald Trump. And so there was like dozens of cameras with CNN. I was, honest to God, I was nervous. So they went for, and they said that Trump should not be allowed to be on the ballot because he violated, 14th Amendment, Section 3 of insurrection or something like that, trying to overthrow the government. And the paragraph under it, right below that one, we use the same one saying for providing comfort and aid to the enemy. So Trump really didn't do an insurrection. He had nothing to do with it. He didn't tell us to go there. There was no plan. And it's funny is that the 7 members from the Illinois election board, they said, well, we're not going to, get involved. But the 2 quote Republicans, well, if we do go forward with this, we would vote that he was responsible for the insurrection and the deaths and all the, which is, they're supposed to be Republicans, right? And then their evidence, they said, was the bogus committee, the congressman, right? That was all made up, right? That was their evidence. So so after they're done, thank God most of the reporters followed them up, and we were in there. And so we said, he provided comfort and aid to the enemies. I said he left weapons behind in Afghanistan and military equipment, right, to the Taliban. He purposely did. He left that there, $80 billion.
Oh
Then
yeah.
we go to Remain in Mexico. Remember, Trump, we had Remain in Mexico. What does he do? He doesn't listen to Remain in Mexico. What does that do? Look what happened. Fast forward now. We got all our enemies coming in, right? We got Trendle Argo, the gang members, those are our enemies. And he
Oh
knew
yeah.
that. The third thing that I pointed out is that if you remember the state of Texas and Abbott, he went to the Supreme Court and forced Texas to keep their borders open. Remember? He
Yeah.
forced them. Remember, they took down all their stuff. That's providing comfort and aid to the enemy. So Biden's attorney goes and says, oh, this is politically motivated. This is partisan. This is not factual. And I'm like, what do you mean not factual? I go,
That-
what? I go, remember the guys before us, the Trump guy? I go, that's not factual. The Congress, and I didn't want to say in front of everybody. I was at January 6th because then, I was going to say there was no insurrection, but I didn't want to say that because I was kind of nervous, And I said, well, our stuff is not partisan. It was the Supreme Court that, even though they say it was partisan, right? The Supreme Court, made these decisions. He overruled. He didn't listen to them. And if we only knew then what we knew now about how many of our enemies really took advantage of what he did, he really shouldn't have been on. Honestly, but
he should have got arrested a long time ago. He shouldn't have even made it into office, right?
Yeah. So of course, you know what they did? They agreed with Biden's attorney. And I knew that going in there, but I felt, hey, someone's got to give him a gut punch or something. And it didn't get that much press. I mean, in fact, you got to dig locally here. They don't want it to get that.
No,
everything Trump was everywhere about that, and
it people don't real. We filed something on December 4th at the Supreme Court, and they took the filing fee and said it was missing and all these different things. Because when I saw what was going on, I knew what was going on. And I knew that COVID was used, and I knew that it was criminal because I went and whistleblew, and I reported this as a crime on July 3rd of 2020 based on the engineering controls. That's the first step of the pandemic response. You commit a crime there, you're dead in the water. Everything else is finished. So I've filed at the Supreme Court of the United States probably like 4 or 5 times to try and get me heard. Supreme Court of Canada like 13 times. Like I found a way to get from a regular court in Canada up to the Supreme Court in 6 months or less, which in Canada normally takes you 10 years because the court system is so painfully slow. And then in the States, Supreme Court from district court in 28 days or less, right? And people didn't like this, but nobody heard anything, and everything was saying like, oh, well, we don't understand that engineering report that you did under the guidance of professional engineers with PhDs, and you had to get graded on it so that you could get your degree, but it's just gibberish. Everybody said the same thing because they didn't want to deal with the facts, and this is what happens continually, right? They try to push it aside, and the people that are trying to do stuff, they stifle them, right? That's just the way it goes. So I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and it shows the level of corruption and how deep it goes, and the deep state, and it's making me think of another thing. Like talk about Trump being in office now, and like the election definitely was stolen. It was stolen. It was absolutely stolen. But I think for us, for America, for the world, it worked out for the best that those scumbags stole that election, right? Because I truly believe that if Trump would have won back to back, he would not be accomplishing all these things he's doing now, because that 4-year gap got people to open their eyes and say, oh my God, these guys are nasty bastards. They're lying, cheating. They're trying to kill him. I mean, all the fake crimes. I think it swayed more people to be on our side or his side. It showed the reality of how evil they are. And also the Republican rhinos, they wouldn't have supported him if it was back to back as much as they see the support of the country coming for him now in the last election. You know what I mean? So I don't think he'd be able to do all these things.
I get it. I get it that it now makes people see that, but a whole lot of people died as a result of it. And the people who did that, they need to be held responsible.
Yes.
There needs to be consequences. Like we were talking before with your background, you understand that there were consequences. Things that these guys are
Yes.
doing,
Right.
they would have been
Right.
dragged out in the back and shot. Like I grew up with
Yep.
guys, some
Yep.
of these guys
Yep.
became like, bikers and all these different kinds of things. And I knew full well that if you did certain things, you got consequences. And I grew up in an era, like I'm a Gen X, where you said something stupid, somebody might punch you in the face, right? Like
Yeah.
that was just the way it is. Not like today, hurt feelings
No.
rules the day.
Yeah.
It's like pick it up and deal with it. And so you had it when with we don't get consequences, it'll happen again. And
Mhm. Oh, I totally agree with you. I had somebody on the show a few weeks ago. We were talking about this exactly, right? And the guy's a Republican. I think he was a Democrat earlier, but he's a Republican. He was a CIA whistleblower. And I can't even remember everything. The 1980s was rough on my brains, plus all the fights and lumps I got in. So my memory's awful. Is awful. But he, we were talking about um, Trump trying to hold these people accountable, right, for what they did, and they should. And he's like, well, my guy said, well, we got to be careful because you don't want to set a precedence. And what about the next election? What if they do it? And then the Democrats do it. But I'm like, I, I don't agree with you because they've already done it, right? They've already done it. They're going to continue to do it. And if Trump does it and holds them accountable, as long as he does it properly, right? And they're held accountable for the things they really did, not the things that they wanted them to do, like what they did to Trump. You know what I mean? They have to be held accountable. If they don't, it's never going to stop. They have to. And if
yes,
we're screwed. And so, yes, the guy said, "Oh, well, you don't want the next administration to do it." Well, we got to put some kind of controls in to make sure when you go after and try to get retribution, it's justifiable. It's justified. It's true. They really did commit these crimes and these things that we're saying they're do. It can't be the fake stuff because our country's done if we cannot stop people from doing what happened to him. And I'd like to know who the hell put me on a domestic terrorist watch list, right?
yes,
And then all of a sudden, a couple letters from congressmen, 6 months later, I'm taken off. So number one, it shouldn't be that easy to put American citizen on a watch list or Canadian in your own country. Nor should it be that easy for some jamoke to take me off the list, right? I'd like to know who put me on and who took me off, and what's the authority to allow you to put someone on or take someone off that might be a real terrorist. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
That process, they should
yes,
be transparent in the beginning and say, oh, well, we're going to put Dale on the terrorist watch list, but we're not going to tell him. I found out when we were on the way to TPUSA with my wife and my 15-year-old kids at the time. They were VIP guests of Charlie Kirk, and they got to bring two friends going to a frequent flyer, American Airlines, Platinum Plus, TSA PreCheck. I flew internationally for my job and stuff. And then I was wondering why I had to go to the gate, ticketing to get the tickets. I didn't know I was a domestic terrorist. So they printed out everyone's tickets. My whole family and the kids and wife had Quad S. That's like terrorist thing. But I didn't know it. We didn't even see it at the time. And I'm like, we're going to run out of time. So I took them to the premium to get them through on the TSA. And then I come back. I'm like, what are you on the phone with for so long? I didn't know she was on the phone with Washington. I didn't know that at the time. She didn't tell me. I go, are you on the phone with help desk? She goes, yes. And then I look to the left. I go, what are they doing? The TSA is taking my whole family out of the line. And I'm like, what's going on? I run over there while I'm waiting for my boarding pass, not knowing she had to get approval from DC to let me get in the plane. And I'm like, what are you doing? They go, oh, it must be a mistake. He goes, so they took him out of the line to go check my wife, the kids and stuff. And the other kids that were with us that aren't even my kids, were all Quad S. And I go back to the lady. I go, listen, man, I'm going to miss my plane. I don't even know where my family is. And she goes, well, here, I'll print this out. It'll get you through security, and then you get your boarding pass at the gate. So I'm like, okay. I'm like a little frustrated. I get up to the TSA agent. He calls on his radio. Supervisors come. Everybody step out of the line. We're going to shut this down for about 20 minutes. I'm like, what's going on? He goes, we have to do a high security on you. I go, for what? He goes, you're on some kind of list. I'm like, what kind of list? He goes, we have to do high security. I go, seriously? so then they do all the security check, then I'm running to the gate. I got my old fat ass trying to run with my knee surgeries and stuff. I'm like, my family's going to take off. I get there right when they close the door. I'm like, hey, I go, my family's in there. And they go, what's your name? I told my name, the gate agent lady. And she goes, your family's not on there. I'm like, well, where's my family? She goes, I don't know. I go, where's my family? And then my son comes running because they took him in the back to search him. And it took them longer than it took me because there was 5 of them. And so,
Wow.
So they come up, and my wife, comes up, and then the one ticket agent comes up. He's a big black guy. He goes, man, you're on a list with real bad people. And my son goes, I think I know why. My wife looks at it, because of the school board and all the stuff. And I go, really? He goes, seriously. I'm like, shit. So then we had to go to another gate agent. Then we had to get, we missed our flight. And then we have 2 ticket agents there, and they're looking at it. And she goes, oh, wow, look at this. I never seen anything like this before. I go, what's that? She goes, we have to call the FBI in DC. I said, what? She said FBI. On the way back, they said Homeland Security. So I don't know why, I think it was Homeland Security, but I don't know. Yeah. So they had to call. I had to wait forever. Then they printed out boarding passes for my family again, all Quad Est. And then I'm waiting, and they went to the new gate. And I'm like, I'm going to miss my family. The plane's going to be, the boarding's closed. I go, can I go say goodbye to them? So I ran with my bag, and then I get up there, and then my family's getting ready to go in, and I'm like, I go, I don't know what's going on. And then the gate agent says, are you with them? I'm like, yeah. She goes, oh, here, it's approved. So I got my ticket at the last second. That's how I found out I was a domestic terrorist.
I mean, yeah, it seemed like whenever I went to the border, they were always having to call Washington and stuff like that as well. Like, I mean, I actually did some freedom of information requests here in Canada, and I got back some information from the RCMP, Royal Canadian Mounted Police, they're like the FBI. They created like bogus occurrence reports to make me look like I was insane. Right? Like when they strapped me to a bed and drugged me against my will, they said that I made a police report for stuff that was stolen, except they had my phone and everything else like that. And I showed the video of when they came and showed up. And then I got my phone and stuff from them, and they were talking about it, but they said I did it the day before on the phone that I had the video of them giving it to me the day that I got out of the facility that they took me to and tortured me. Like they drugged me against my will. And I saw them making all these types of things. And I'm like, for what? And then you have all these people running around that are going on this narrative. And I'm like, this type of thing is insane. That you can just take somebody and start doing this to them. This is crazy. Like, I can't live in a country like this. Like, I mean, this is nuts. I
didn't even realize that Canada's worse than America until recently when I talked to some other Canadians.
Oh, yes.
And I started actually opening my eyes with the truckers. I got connected on Getter. I'm on Getter, and lots of truckers for the Canadian truckers. And I started following. I'm like, oh, wow, that country is whacked worse than us.
Okay, yeah. Because, I mean, it's like straight communist. Like before the truckers, like I got debanked. They wiped me out like in one day on July 23rd and whatnot. Like, I mean, I even have the video of the arrest where they came in when I was going to court against the RCMP and other people over COVID. And then I had a family matter the same day, same judge. Judge used the family matter to just wipe me out, settle the divorce on one day. They told the RCMP the day before to keep me out of the court. And then they had a warrant for resisting arrest on July 22nd of 2020 for an arrest that took place on July 23rd of 2020. Right?
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, this ain't the Minority Report. Right?
Yeah. 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 I had the FBI showed up. I'm bouncing around. There's so much crazy stuff. I'm trying to keep, the FBI showed up on my porch 2 years after January 6th. And so people were getting arrested, right? Even those that didn't do things. And I'm like thinking, oh my God, on my background. And I got in trouble when I was younger. And I'm thinking, oh, I'm screwed. Even though we were gone before people even went past the last line, or we didn't even know people were in there, but it doesn't matter, right? And the Southern Poverty Law Center wrote that hit piece. Then all these Antifa guys and they started tagging the DC FBI and the Chicago field office, saying Terry Newsome tried to overthrow the federal government. When we asked him why, no answer. And I'm like, never asked me about that. It's like, and then it's like, who goes, who, even if they really were serious, nobody was serious about overthrowing the government. Who goes with a flagpole and a camera to overthrow the United States of America, the most powerful country in the world? I mean, it's just common sense. Right? It's like, and it's like, and they pulled this big scam off. And so after, so it was 2 weeks after the Southern Poverty Law Center story that we went on out to Phoenix. And so as I learned more since then, the Southern Poverty Law Center, are you guys familiar with that in Canada? Southern Poverty Law Center?
Oh yeah. We hear about it all the time.
Yeah, I didn't really know much about it. So I was like, what the hell? So they're like Soros backed and stuff. I was out in DC and met with Mike Lee and a bunch of other big politicians, the Center for Self-Governance, about the weaponization of the government. I was one of the people there. And I learned that the Southern Poverty Law Center gets paid by our tax dollars at the federal, state, and local level to teach and train law enforcement about extremists. Who's an extremist? You and me. They don't talk about Antifa. They go out there and they use our tax dollars, and they have this consulting arm that teaches these guys in pamphlets and stuff. And that there's a connection between them and the FBI, which makes me believe that conspiracy after what happened to me. It was 2 years after January 6th. I'm a terrorist. I know they arrested people afterwards and stuff for a while, but I know the FBI knew about me like within weeks after January 6th, because my buddy that was with me, Rob Waller, it's out there now. They were trying to figure out his name now that we're safe after the inauguration, and Rob just retired. Rob had his Cook County Sheriff, City of Chicago, Cook County. He had his winter hat on with the logo, Cook County Sheriff's Department, because we didn't know about, there was no, who goes and does an insurrection with a Cook County Sheriff logo hat on you where you worked, right?
Yeah.
And so they went in with pictures of me and Rob into the Cook County Sheriff's Office, 2 agents, and we didn't find this out until about April, when they had a reunion with that, retired sheriffs, current sheriffs. Rob's boss was there, his boss's boss was there, and he said, yeah, the FBI came like the last week of January with your picture asking about you. And I said, yeah, he was a great officer. He just retired after 30 years. And as soon as they found out he was retired, they didn't care. You know why? Is number one, we didn't do anything, but they could have done whatever they wanted, right? They could have charged us for trespassing or prancing on a government property or whatever they said.
Yes.
And so they found out, I bet you my right arm, if Rob was still an active Cook County sheriff, they would have arrested him for something for the headlines.
Yes.
I really believe it. So we know that we knew that they knew back then because of the pictures, right? And they didn't arrest us. And we didn't know until April afterwards. I'm like, then I think we're good, because, they know where everyone were, our phones and everything. They knew where that was. And so then all of a sudden, 2 years later, I'm on the list. That's why that letter from Matt Gaetz says, did you put him on the list because he was a vocal school board parent or because he peacefully attended January 6th? Garland, Ray, and Mayorkas accepted knowledge of that letter. It was a demand letter from Matt Gaetz, but they never answered him to this day, right? Even before he left. And I talked to his attorney, and they reached out to him. So if you're Garland, Ray, and Mayorkas, and one of them put Dale on that list, I would respond back to the congressman, well, he did this, this, and this. Yeah, there you go. It's kind of, I'm having that framed. And so he they never got back to him. Why did they never get back to him? It's because I didn't do anything wrong, right? You get a letter from a congressman, and I don't know if you could scroll up and see the last 4 questions that he put up there.
Yeah,
Can you do that?
Yeah, I'll do that here. Just give me a second here. I'll get that scrolled up for you.
And they never answered his questions to the congressman. It's kind of cool seeing a letter in my name to those 3 stooges.
And just so people can see it,
There you go. Yeah, has Mr. Newsome at any point been placed on a watch list of any sort? Why has Mr. Newsome been labeled quad ass at the airport security? Is the DOJ, FBI, or DHS maintaining a watch list of anyone present in Washington, D.C. or near the Capitol on January 2021? Is the DOJ, FBI, or DHS maintaining a watch list of anyone who attends and participates in school board meetings? So Matt's attorney actually reached out to me, texted me in January of that year. It took till March that letter came out, and I got this text message. John Wilson, I'm an attorney for Matt Gaetz. I'd like to talk to you about your situation. They saw the newspaper stories in Epoch Times. So I was excited because I knew it was good news. So I call him the next day, and then we're talking. I'm like, hey, how'd you get my number? He goes, I think we got it from Jim Jordan's office. I'm like, oh, that's cool. About the weaponization of the government. He said that they were going to maybe have me speak in front of Congress at that time. It never happened. I was hoping I would get the chance. And when the FBI came to my house 2 years after January 6th, and I told you I confront Antifa, and those guys hate me. The guy that writes for the Southern Poverty and Law Center is Antifa, Chicago Antifa guy. And so my mom's like, there's somebody at the door, my 87-year-old mother. And I look, I'm like, okay, they're like, I didn't know they were FBI until they opened the door. It's all on the Ring camera. I should have sent you those photos. And they showed me their FBI. Huh?
Before you get in there, we need to take a short commercial break. I need to.
Oh, sorry, I keep rambling too long.
Yeah, no worries.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to announce the next generation of energy drinks, Rev 7. It has no sugar and no caffeine. Instead, Rev 7 uses Go BHB. Go BHB is one of the body's primary ketones, and it provides the most efficient and clean fuel that your body needs. It also helps you stay energized all day with no crashes. Not only that, it produces 3 times more brain energy than sugar, which helps boost your memory, focus, and mental sharpness. It also helps reduce stress and helps balance your mood. Rev 7 does all that while being the best tasting energy drink ever. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% today. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7. For a limited time, you get our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. I drink Rev 7 every day, and I absolutely love it, and so will you.
So if you need,
it looks like he drinks Red Bull every day. So I know Mike. I hosted him in Chicago. I should have sent you that. I had a fundraiser in the South Side of Chicago. So I grew up in the Southwest Side. I purposely had his event in the South Side, in the heart of city Chicago Democrats who are all voting our way. Who are voting, so I hosted the event for him there. And, what's kind of cool is like, I went there ahead of time early, and then this like typical Chicago, like fat cop, he had a sweatshirt on, Chicago Police Department. And he goes, are you with the group here? I said, yeah. I go, I'm running this. He goes, why is Mike Lindell here? So I'm kind of like, is this a Democrat cop? I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, why here? I said, well, I grew up, my dad, I grew up in the Southwest Side, which is right there, not far from there. And he goes, but why here? I said, well, I want him to come here. I go, I was a Democrat. My dad worked for the city. He goes, oh man. He goes, yeah, I love him. He goes, but I can't afford the VIP picture. He goes, I said, listen, I go, at the end of when Mike's done, I go, I'm going to call up all the first responders and stuff on stage, or you get free pictures and stuff. And the guy hugged me. So yeah, it was sold out, you guys. It was awesome. In the heart, it was like a shot across the bow to Mayor Johnson, and like kind of like, screw you guys. And then I hosted Tom Homan there. I had him in the same. We had about the border 911 before Tom was appointed to his position, and it was sold out. And then I had a panel of my African American, Hispanic buddies, pastors. And they're all on our side. I mean, the people that are being devastated the most are the minority communities, Ron. The Democrats, they're supposed to be their friends.
Oh yes, and people don't want to admit that, and so forth. But these are the ones that they're getting destroyed. Like, I mean, same kind of thing up here in Canada. Like, I mean, the liberals, they're out of control. They like, because Canada is very different than America in a lot of ways. Like, because how they had affirmative action, they never had that here in Canada. right? Like I never, there was like all of these policies came in when long after I was an adult. I'm like, I never got anything for being black. I'm like, if something
Mhm.
happened, your only solution was work harder, like figure it out.
Yeah.
That was it. It's right.
Yeah.
So when they talk about this stuff, I'm like, I'm Canadian, dude. That you're speaking German to me. I don't understand what you're saying. Like heard about it in the States, but we never had it here. So, and then now the only how you get anything, even if you're a minority, is if you're supporting their woke nonsense agenda. I'm like, I got kids. They tried that nonsense on my daughter, and I was like, no, you're pushing that trans nonsense. Said no, and
Yeah.
it's 100 times worse now.
Yes. Oh, it is big. That's what got me in. I did it at the school. Then they had at the library, Downers Grove Library, they had drag bingo singing Katy Perry songs for children. I led that, and it got stopped. And so there was like 3 complaints. One from a guy from Idaho, left a threatening voice message. Somebody outside the community, and then somebody sent a bullet to the in a MAGA with the MAGA flag and a Confederate flag. It was obviously a Democrat. You know what I mean? It was so stupid and ridiculous. And then they try to blame. Like we had nothing to do with that. All we say, I don't want porn in my kid's school. It doesn't matter if it's heterosexual porn. It's gay. No porn whatsoever.
No kid should have porn.
Yeah, and I said, when I speak to them, I'm like, listen, I go, these kids are children, just like my children. They're children. These kids, you can't sit here and tell me that a gay child in high school, if he doesn't see gay sex books, with kinky sex books and stuff, he's not going to feel included in that school. He might commit suicide. If that's really true, then my son needs to see some kinky pictures. I was being sarcastic. They're children. That doesn't represent kinky gay sex. Does not represent a gay child in high school. That's the left trying to use that as a wedge to make us look like bad people. And then we had drag Santa Claus at the church in Downers Grove.
Well,
drag Santa.
the question to me is like, why are they looking at the reaction to the gay children instead of what caused the children to be gay to begin with? Because most of the kids who are transgender or gay, they've been sexually abused in some fashion, or they're having abuse somewhere, and they don't want to actually go to the root cause of the problem and ask the kid what's going on with you so that they can actually give them the real help they need. Instead, they want to exacerbate the problem that the child is dealing with by giving them gay porn books and all this other stuff, because it's going to certify their trauma even more and make them easier to groom and abuse further. Like, it's very evil what they're doing to the children in that schools.
Yeah, it is. And another one of their bullshit statements is that, don't you know the suicide rate is higher amongst transgender kids? I'm like, yeah, they're messed up. I don't say that, but if you say that, then you're like bad. I'm like, I bet you the suicide rate amongst alcoholic kids in high school is higher. You know what I mean? When you have some kind of dysfunctional problem, right, it's going to be higher. So don't attribute it to not having a porn book in the school. That's what they try to say. If they don't have these books, they're going to kill themselves. Come on, give me a break.
But it's like if the kid is like, they're like, say that the kid's on meth, they have a higher death rate. Well, they're meth heads, so let's give them more meth. Does that make sense? Instead of getting them cleaned up and help, just give them more meth. Like, what?
Yeah.
That's their solution.
Yeah, they're nuts. They're crazy, for real. They're crazy.
I mean, I talked to Alvin Louis. He does Courageous to Heaven. He does a really good work. He outlines and shows the tactics that they're using for this transgender agenda is identical to what they use for child sex trafficking, right?
Wow.
And they're grooming your kids. And then when you look at the fact that they're having these big tech platforms and the porn companies pushing the porn, and they're driving it in video games and everywhere, all these different places, they're grooming them because whether they watch, they're gonna groom them and like molest them without actually having to touch them by putting the pornography in there, and it's gonna just
Yeah.
wire them wrong, and then they're gonna kids as young as 6 are watching this, so they're getting it reinforced in the schools, and then they're pushing the transgender stuff, and the kid sees that, they're confused. And a guy on from Pornhub just stating that, well, if they're confused about their sexuality and they see, let's say, the transgender porn, then that's going to help them affirm their sexuality. Don't you think that's a good idea? Are you nuts?
Yeah. Yeah. My kid's school, Downers Grove High School, D99, when I started, calling out the superintendent, the whole school board, they look down on us like they're better than us. I hate those people, man. They're just radical leftist scum. And I said, you're sexualizing, you're indoctrinating. I go, you're a danger to our children. You're dangerous to the community, and they hate that. And so New York Post report, actually, she just went to the Daily Mail. Dana Kennedy, she came into town this week for 2 stories, one about the Obama Library and another one about Downers Grove High School, oddly enough. She wrote the New York Post stories when I took her around Chicago to meet the gang members, Chicago gang members, and then Trent Largo and stuff. And so she called me, say, hey, I'm coming into Chicago, and I'm gonna, you know about the teacher that had sex with the kid? It's been national news. It's my kid's school. It's my kid's school. My son, there's a really pretty high school teacher that's been having sex with a junior for over a year. 52 counts in my kid's school. And then last year, the track coach in my kid's school,
one of the teachers have been having sex with one of the kids in your school?
Yeah, my children's school. Yeah. So it's such a big story that they sent this reporter out here to cover it, and it's 52 counts. And then last year,
woman? Is it a man or a woman?
Very good looking, which is married. It's kind of weird. A very good looking, about 30-year-old woman married with her husband, and it's all over TikTok and YouTube when she got pulled over.
What was her name? Was she
Downers Grove? She got an Italian last name, Formicelli.
Does she have I actually talked about her on a podcast.
Yes. Yeah. So that's my kid's school. That's the one I would present at. All this stuff, And so she called me. I'm like, Dana, that's my kid's school. She's like, you're kidding me. She's coming here. I go, that's the one I bet all you've seen, because she didn't cover that other stuff. I go, that's the stuff that I would go and confront the superintendent. So I had to send her everything. And I said, did you know a year ago, their soccer coach, track coach, got 19 years in prison, the sophomore soccer coach, for having child pornography in my kid's school. But they're worried about, they got mad at me, and I'm yelling at them. I go, you're exposing the kids' sexualization, and all this stuff is normalizing it.
Well, they're doing it so that they can rape the kids, because when you groom the kids by giving them the pornography, they're going to be more easy to get abused. And then they have all these teachers that are going and doing this filth to students. You can't say that those things are not correlated. Like there's no coincidence that you have a couple pedophiles at your school that are also promoting pornography to children. And I've been a substitute teacher, man. Like, I don't understand how a teacher can sit in front of a group of children and present pornography to them. Like, how could anybody sit in front of small children and show them porn or anything that's inappropriate, or do anything? Like, you're not even supposed to let the students hug you. You're not supposed to touch them. You can't even give them high fives. You can get your license removed and all sorts of stuff. So, like, no one can say that this stuff is an accident. Like, they just did not know. There's too many boundaries in place for people not to make these mistakes. That's not a mistake. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, and it gets even worse with our school too. So D99 High School, Downers Grove, North and South. So South is where this stuff has been going on. Well, actually, North is worse, by the way. And they have tampon machines in the boys' bathroom. The whole state of Illinois, because of Pritzker. And so I told my boys,
it's like
I told my boys, my son and their friends, they would, like, ours house is where they hang out at, which I'm glad I want my kids here, And I said, if any of those tampon machines come off the bathroom wall and you get in trouble, don't worry about it. And so, like, the tampon machines kept being torn off the wall, putting in toilet seats in their bathroom, and they finally stopped putting them back up. Before they did that, the boys would take the tampons out. They're free. They wet them, and they'd like flip them on all over the room. And they like the janitor. And they told me one time the janitor kind of knows which boys it might be, but not sure. He's like, and they all like the janitor, right? And he's like, "Hey, boys, would you stop doing that? Because I got to clean up all that stuff." So
Yeah,
they were rebelling back, and then they have Downers Grove North had a transvestite teach health to the kids one day. They brought in a guest transvestite, and in my kids' school they had a lesbian come in and talk about health
I
and about your gender identity and all this bullshit. I got a recording actually. So a parent sent it to me. It's disgusting.
I actually, after we're done here, I'll want to talk to you about something after, because what you said there was very, very important, and they're got to do something, because this is evidence that they're doing something very nefarious. When I look at what is going on, because I look at things on a 40,000-foot view and look at how all the pieces are moving together, and I did not realize what you told me there at the school, but that is a critical piece of information, because what these people are doing, this demonstrates that this is not random happenstance. This is 100% contrived, because it's like basically saying that I can blow up a bunch of logs and then it was going to form into a perfectly formed house just by sticking some dynamite underneath it. That's nonsense, right?
Mhm.
And all of these
Yeah.
things, they're working together, and it looks like that the way that these policies are is that they're attracting predator teachers, right?
Yeah,
And then they're
yeah,
grooming the
just like
kids.
the Catholic Church here, just like the Catholic Church. I mean, I'm a Catholic. I'm not a good Catholic, but I was raised a Catholic, and I mean, all this. I don't know if you followed Chicago. It's been like crazy. I
Oh
was an
yeah,
altar boy,
it was here.
and
It was here all over Canada. They were seizing their property because they victims and stuff in Newfoundland.
yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. I also tried to. I spoke with Charlie Kirk up here in Chicago and about the war on children. And I tried to start a TPUSA chapter with my son and some of the kids. I think they were sophomore year, so they had a government class afterward, a government group after school. It's an organization out of California, right? That sponsors it. Leftist organization, political club or something like that. And it was a leftist teacher, and they had all the the crazy rainbow stuff in her room and all that crap. So the kids, they had to drive it and reach out and try to start the chapter, and then they pushed back and they wouldn't let them. And their excuse back to the kids was, "Well, we don't let any national organizations sponsor any organizations in the school." I'm like, that didn't make any sense. So I sent the superintendent. I always send him Terry FU emails. I mean, on the borderline. I mean, I am so insulting to him, and I call him out because he deserves it, because he's a piece of crap. He's hurting our kids. And so they got back to me, and they gave me the same bullshit about the national. So I looked up on this, they advertised this, political cup for the kids at the Downers Grove High School. And I sent them back a link. I said, this is out of California. It's national. So either you're going to let TPUSA have a club there, or you're going to shut this one down. So they got back to me and they had to shut the other one down, which is a little win. I wanted to have the TPUSA there, but it's like bullshit. They'd rather just shut it down and keep TPUSA. Oh, then one of the assistant principals got back to me about how bad Charlie Kirk is. I got the email somewhere. They want to control our kids' brains. They want only one view.
Yeah, I was taking mechanical engineering at Oral Roberts University for a short time, and I
You're
think
going out. You're going in and out a little bit. There.
I said I was taking mechanical engineering at Oral Roberts University in Tulsa, Oklahoma for a short time, and someone had asked me to see if I could try a TPUSA started at that campus as well. And I think they said they had the same problem with Oral Roberts University, because I don't know why a lot of these universities don't want to have a TPUSA on their campus, but they because they have so many other things that you know, they claim to be conservative, but they have a bunch of other things that are actually not conservative. So I don't know why these universities like push back so much, but it's a university where they were trying for so long to get TPUSA there, and they just wouldn't. So yeah,
Yeah.
I
They
understand
want
what you're saying, kind of.
They want to brainwash you kids. They want full control and brainwash. That's why Charlie, he started out in the colleges. He's in the high. So, they had full control of the colleges. So I graduated high school in 79, and it was the 60s folks that started becoming professors and teachers. And they did this full indoctrination of the people now that are running corporations, right? It used to be, I remember my mom telling me when I was younger how evil the Republicans are. Oh, they dirty money and those wealthy. Now flip-flop, right? All the people running the corporations are leftists that were brainwashed when they grew up and went through the college system because they controlled them. That's why Charlie Kirk started there. Now he's pushing into the high schools because they have in America, they got a huge control in the high schools, right? So they're fighting. And then now they're going into trying to do stuff in the grammar schools. They're creeping in there. I got another poster over here, gender unicorn. I got all my posters of, for the grammar schools, they got a unicorn that, it's sorry, let me shut this off. Yeah, they're just trying to brainwash our children so much.
Yeah,
There we go.
yeah, they're doing the same thing here in Canada, but we're running here on time. We're normally just under an hour for our shows today.
Oh, okay, sorry. All right.
No, that's
Well,
all right.
I would love to have you guys on too. Oh, if people want to follow me on X at Terry Newsome 357 at Terry Newsome 357. And then I'm on Rumble. Just do Behind Enemy Lines. We're the number 1 on Rumble. And I guess that's it.
Yeah, and if you're watching on Rumble, BitChute, or Facebook, you'll see the links in the description. I'm going to close here with a prayer, and then I'll give my daughter her final thoughts. Thank you for coming, and this was a very good discussion. We could have been here for hours, honestly. All right.
Thank you. Thanks.
Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for your love, grace, and mercy. We thank you for the hope that you have given us this day. And Father, help the men and women to come together to rebuild our families, our churches, our community, and our nation, and to protect the children from this wickedness and this filthy evil that is coming up upon them is my prayer, and that they would have some safety and some normality to grow up into. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thanks, Dad, for the prayers, words. And thank you, Sir Terry, for joining us today. We hope we'll have you back in the future. We'll definitely love to come on your show. I hope everybody goes and checks out some of the stuff that he's doing, because these are important conversations. Like we even talked about the teacher that was at his son's school. That's crazy. So it's like these things are all things that we need to be paying attention to, because you think it doesn't affect you until something pops up at your local school and your child is there. And even if it's not your child's classroom, if your school district is letting this stuff happen to children, it's going to come back and affect you. Whether it's churches, schools, businesses, things like that, we need to make sure that we stand together to do something about it, to protect our communities, our families, and our homes, and our neighbors and friends. So anyways, thanks guys for your time and considerations today. We'll check you in the next one, and until then, ciao.